Dear fratres and sorores, the time has come to teach you the technique used for centuries by Rosicrucians in achieving psychic projection and thus freeing themselves from the limitations of space. This technique, of course, should be subject to the greatest discretion. In other words, under no circumstances should you speak about it to people who are not members of our order, for they have not been properly prepared to put it into practice, nor have they benefited from the spiritual support that you have been provided. Furthermore, if the subject should ever arise in conversation with fellow Rosicrucians, make certain that they have attained this degree in their studies. In fact, it is always best to remain discreet about this kind of experience, for the laws concerned should not be made the subject of intellectual speculation. You will realize eventually, if you have not done so already, that discretion and humility are the keys to success, not only in mysticism, but also in everyday life. Experiment No. 44. Psychic Projection. The following experiment constitutes the basic technique you should follow in projecting your psychic body out of your physical body. Before putting it into practice, make sure that you will not be disturbed. Indeed, it is important to participate in it with a composed mind and with your full attention. Wash your hands and drink a glass of water as a sign of mental and physical purification. Remember that the more respectful your attitude is toward the cosmic, the more support you will receive from the cosmic in putting projection into practice. Sit upright with your back straight, hands on your knees and feet slightly separated, flat on the ground. If you prefer, you may lie on a bed, with your legs slightly separated and your arms alongside your body. Mentally recite the invocation that should precede all attunement with the celestial sanctum. May the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and worthiness, so mote it be. Carry out the exercise that you were given in the last monograph. In other words, stimulate your psychic body. And then, while intoning the vowel sound EHM 7 times, concentrate its activity in the area of the thymus. When you are no longer conscious of your physical body and you experience a pleasant sensation around the thymus, inhale deeply through your nose and hold the air in your lungs as long as possible, but without feeling any discomfort. Then exhale slowly while intoning the vowel sound RA on a note which seems most natural to you and continue the intonation as long as possible like this, R-A-A-A. While intoning the vowel sound RA, use your will to project your psychic body from your physical body. While so doing, imagine that it separates from your physical body in the area of the thymus and that this separation is produced through the impulse of the breath produced during your intonation. If necessary, repeat this intonation without any hesitation, and every time that you do so, calmly concentrate on the separation of your physical and psychic bodies. After intoning RA a maximum of 7 times, submit yourself to the cosmic with confidence and allow yourself to be receptive to any psychic impressions that may come into your consciousness. When you feel that you have completely reintegrated with your physical body and that your objective consciousness is once more in control of your being, bring this projection experiment to a close with the invocation that should be used to conclude all contacts with the celestial sanctum. May the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. During the next several weeks and months you should regularly practice the exercise that has just been given. It forms the basic procedure to follow when conducting any psychic projection. However, do not expect to experience spectacular results during your first few attempts or to act on the psychic plane with as much ease as on the physical plane. For reasons which have already been explained, the mastery of projection requires a certain length of time, depending upon the degree of development that you have attained. Nevertheless, by following the suggested procedure, you should succeed in projecting for several minutes. In other words, you will momentarily lose consciousness of the mundane world and perceive your environment in a way that is independent of your objective faculties. Failure to project. Now let us consider the reasons why psychic projection may end in apparent failure. We say apparent, because all experiences of this kind necessarily involve a degree of success on some level of your being, even though you may not be objectively aware of it. According to the reports that some members have sent to us on the subject, the reasons may be generally broken down into the following 5 categories. 1. Some members will fall asleep when they attempt to stimulate the psychic body. This simply indicates that you are too tired to achieve a controlled psychic projection. The subconscious thus induces sleep so that you can rest. 2. Some failures arise because the stimulation of the psychic body is not sufficient at the moment of projection. In this instance, you must work more on this important phase that comes before projection. You will know that this stimulation is complete at the moment when you are no longer conscious of your physical body and you simply feel a general sensation of lightness and a lack of objective consciousness. 3. Some members will have the clear impression of no longer being in their physical body, but they still lack the certainty that they are in a true state of projection. Such an impression simply means that you have not yet fully mastered the complete process and that you are somehow obstructed in an intermediate state of consciousness. For some members have a perfect awareness of being in a state of projection, but they can do no more than see their own physical body and the room that it is in. This indicates a certain degree of success in the phase consisting of the projection of the psychic body. If you find yourself in this situation, experimenting with projection on a regular basis will enable you to extend your investigations in this realm. 5. Some members experience perfect success in the preparatory phase and then, at the moment of separating from the physical body, some degree of fear or distress inevitably induces a reintegration of the psychic body. In many cases, we find fear to be the origin of a failure to project. Fear of the unknown. From a psychological point of view, fear is caused by the presumption of negative effects that unknown circumstances might produce on us. It therefore has nothing to do with caution, which is based on a knowledge of what might happen if one should act irresponsibly. For example, you know that it is dangerous to light a fire in a place where the vegetation is particularly dry. You therefore avoid doing so because you are fully aware of the catastrophic consequences that could result from such imprudence. In this instance, your behavior simply reflects good reasoning. On the other hand, fear is not always based on being sensible. It usually steals over us when we presume that a new situation will cause us some harm. Speaking generally, fear is an obstacle to evolution because it breaks down our innate desire to learn about the unknown. An unknown which nevertheless forms part of the experience is useful to our understanding of the world and its proper nature. Therefore, as we have already noted, you should not feel any fear concerning psychic projection. Although it probably involves procedures that are unfamiliar, it need not be approached with apprehension, as you will never be exposed to any danger, either physical or mental. On the other hand, if you succeed in mastering projection, you will understand how useful it can be to you. Moreover, it will prove to you that an immaterial entity constantly resides in your physical body. This evidence can only encourage you on the mystical path, for you will prove to yourself that there truly exists a cosmic reality transcending the material world. Let us also remind you that psychic projection is based on natural laws and on the application of a technique which has been put to the test by the greatest mystics of the past. Moreover, as we have presented it to you, it has been completely integrated into the Rosicrucian tradition and benefits, placing you under the protection of the most positive forces of the egregore of the Rose Cross. Consequently, you can make use of it while holding the conviction that it is based on a method which has been fully approved by the masters of our order. By using it successfully, you will come to realize that it opens the doors to a new realm of consciousness and experimentation, and such a perspective will encourage you to cross over the borders into a world which is still unknown to you. When you feel that your psychic body is on the verge of separating from your physical body, let yourself go with the same confidence that a child shows when it throws itself into its mother's arms. By so doing, you will experience the universal love and infinite powers that the cosmic puts at your disposal. When you feel that your psychic body is on the verge of separating from your physical body, let yourself go with the same confidence that a child shows when it throws itself into its mother's arms. By so doing, you will experience the universal love and infinite powers that the cosmic puts at your disposal. Moreover, never forget that your soul is an emanation of God and that it is always there to guide and protect you, for no psychic projection is made outside of its control and supervision. We shall continue the study of psychic projection in the next monograph and examine the ways to control it in more detail. Meanwhile, carry out today's exercise several more times and jot down the results you obtain in your study notebook. With all best wishes for peace profound. Sincerely and fraternally, your class master. Neptune. Practical application. The narrative appearing in the concurrence of this monograph is of interest to us, for it clearly shows what happens during the course of a projection. The psychic body is outside the physical body and it perceives things with such clarity that it almost seems to be using the objective senses. Moreover, while in a state of projection, we seem to be observing our surroundings from some height, although this can vary considerably. We also find ourselves psychically and instantaneously in the place where we wish to be. On the other hand, the people whom we observe cannot necessarily see us. We shall soon consider the conditions which need to be fulfilled so that another person may be conscious of our psychic presence. As you will have noticed when reading this narrative, one may project psychically while lying down. As our instructions stated in the monograph, you do not need to be seated when undertaking projection work. You may wish to do it when in bed, just before going to sleep. By trying this method, you can determine whether you have greater success while seated or when lying down. What is most important is not the position of your body, but the necessity of losing objective consciousness and stimulating its psychic counterpart as much as possible. During the upcoming weeks and months, concentrate all your efforts in achieving this stimulation. Summary of this monograph. Below is a summary of the important principles of this monograph. It contains the essential statements which you should not forget. After you have carefully read the complete monograph, try to recall as many as you can of the important points you read. Then read this summary and see if you have forgotten any. Also refer to this summary during the ensuing week to refresh your memory. During the upcoming weeks and months, put the experiment contained in this monograph into practice. This constitutes the basic technique you should follow in projecting your psychic body out of your physical body. Depending upon the degree of development one has attained, the mastery of projection requires a certain length of time. Therefore, do not expect to experience spectacular results during your first few attempts or to act on the psychic plane with as much ease as on the physical plane. Failure to project is due to various reasons, including fatigue, a lack of psychic awakening, and the fear of experiencing a new state of consciousness. From a psychological point of view, fear is caused by the presumption of negative effects which unknown circumstances might produce on us. Speaking generally, it is an obstacle to evolution because it breaks down the innate desire to learn about the unknown. As practiced by the Rosicrucians, psychic projection places you under the protection of the most positive forces of the egregore of the Rose Cross. Moreover, it is based on a technique which has been fully approved by the masters of our order.